Yes, yes, yes. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and you don't know already. I pray everybody is doing well.
To my God friend.
All right. Thank you for your patience. We have to do some housekeeping behind the scenes and things. It's things still make nice. Uh, Behind the scene and thing to make sure everything is up and doing the do. You understand? So, greetings and welcome to those who have just joined us. Welcome back to the conversation. We are on a roll. All right. We are on a roll. This is Amuna, and yes, indeed, I pray everybody is doing well. So, just to recap, good evening, good evening. We over here in Marcusville, knee deep. What is this? Episode 12? Into what is going on with what some would say is arguably one of the greatest leaders of the last century. Okay, Jamaica national hero, Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and who knew? Okay, so this today we already saw that it was Rocky. Hold on, let me come on here. Greetings and welcome to those who have just joined us. Let me come on and see what it's doing right now. Hold on. Hold on. All right. I am back. You don't know already. Let me say one thing now. I wish about the thing. Don't start with me early now. All right. We're reading from Amy Garvey or Amy Ashwood Garvey, a book written by Tony Martin. And we're not doing much cross-referencing just yet. Just yet. I had ordered, and shout out to all those who support the thing. We put the books back into the channel, and I ordered so far I have 2 of the volumes of the Garvey papers, but I believe the affidavits are in the 3rd volume. And so I had ordered that, and I'm waiting for the 3rd volume because the volume goes from certain dates, and because there was a lot of paperwork, I believe it's in the 3rd volume. So I'm not able to read from that for right now. So we have to depend upon what Mr. Tony Martin is telling us. Good morning, Queenie, all the way from New Zealand. It is 7:47 on the East Coast, and yeah, we're there. We there. All right. So yesterday, now, right? The thing pop up. I just still can't believe. After I come off live, I sometimes just be sitting there like, what in the world? So if I'm not the only one, let me know in the comment section. Sometimes you just be replaying in your mind, like, what? So anyway, Amy number 1, apparently, according to the reports and the affidavits, she has a jubby who works at the Black Star Line, and she got caught, playing the smoochy face situation with the jubby on the line. Marcus is like, yo, I had gave you a bly, shorty, and now you're wilding. It's not 6 months good yet. Nubian is all the way from London, nighttime in London. Welcome to the conversation. So that's where we are. It not looking good. Let me put on my glasses so that my eye don't get too tired with the screen. This is just the glasses to block the glare off of the computer screen, you know? All right, here we go. So here we are. Oh, yes, and she was still writing Alan Cumberbatch, according to Marcus. According to Marcus. So here we are. Page 53. In April 1920, Amy said, hold on 1 second. As a matter of fact, before we start, let me just take a little, give me 1 second. Let me take a swig here. A swig, not of Amy's preferred drink, but a swig of sparkly water before I get started. A little swig, yes, sir. All right, we're back now. Kind of look kind of crazy. I take a swig pan line, you know. Not to say you don't do it at some time, but I just got started. All right, let's go. Queenie says she's like, okay, I wasn't expecting the reading to the whole day. Hey, what's going on, Uzziah? I'm glad it's been a long while. I'm glad you are here, brother. We about to get into this Marcus Garvey. Okay, it has been quite the adventure. So we're coming from page 53. In April 1920, Amy said Marcus packed his things and departed their apartment. Remember, before he was denying her the comforts of a husband. So Marcus was not having it. He was like, yo, look, Amy, I gave you a blight. I know we coming from the island, but you're doing too much and I can't do this anymore. But Marcus also had somebody to confide in who's going to come up later, but let's continue. So Marcus said, that's it, I'm gone. Their apartment, leaving her ill and in a very delicate state, highly nervous and hysterical by reason of pregnancy. So remember, they told us yesterday that she was pregnant, but she told Marcus that it wasn't his. That's why I asked the question, at what point did she tell Marcus that it wasn't his? Like, Amy, I'm not going to start with you. It's too early. So this was a month after Garvey claimed to have terminated the relationship. He eventually returned the same month, but occupied a separate room as was his custom. And again, we know he got that from his father because his father had his own little private room and he didn't want nothing to do with nobody. So Marcus was really, this is why it's important what we model for children, because this is their first reference, right? And sometimes you can't help it, but if you can, be mindful. It says here, 2 doctors included her own personal physician who bore the unlikely name 57 of Dr. Dredd. Not Dr. Dredd, the doctor's name. Yo, if your name is Dr. Dredd, no, sir. Warned Marcus that he would lose mother and expected child if he did not act right. Is this the reason why she said the doctor prescribed drinking for her issue? Yet Marcus continued to neglect, mistreat, and otherwise inhumanely ignore Amy. Now, we know Amy has been telling us some tall tales. Susan Hall says, all right, shout out to Susan. Thank you for your work. She's saying that this was her professor's book, Tony Martin, and you helped him edit it. Thank you for your work and your contribution to the culture. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where were you? Where was he a professor at? Was he a professor in? Let me know where he was. I remember watching some videos about Professor Tony Martin, but share with the people if you will, Susan. That would be nice. So it says here, finally, according to Amy's testimony, Marcus packed up and left around mid-June. As a result of his unprovoked action, Amy sank into, quote unquote, a coma, and because of her extremely weakened condition, suffered a miscarriage 2 evenings afterwards. Wesley College in Wesley, Massachusetts. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. A lot of the old school professors are no longer with us, but they have done a great work in which we are ever thankful for. A few days later, Amy entered hospital for 12 days. Marcus visited her only 3 times. He refused. Here you know, help me know, help me know. We're not reached nowhere yet. We just start 10 minutes in and the story. So she's saying, no, she was sick. Marcus left her. Then he came back and he ignored her. She was pregnant. She had a miscarriage. And then it says she was in the hospital for 12 days. Marcus visited her only 3 times. He refused to pay her hospital bills and blocked her effort to obtain sick benefits from the UNIA because she was unfinancial. Is he getting his lick back? Marcus's moodiness and his indifference to Amy's hospitalization were easily explicable by his conviction that the baby was not his. Amy had a, what is his penchant for writing self-incriminating melodramatic letters, which she told on herself. Marcus tendered one of these into evidence. He had received his undated mea culpa letter on May the 20th, 1920. This would have been about the period, according to Amy's testimony cited above, when she was, quote, in a very delicate state and highly nervous and hysterical by reason of pregnancy. I mean, let's just be fair. Pregnancy does, you do release a lot of different hormones, especially early on. The body is adjusting, and she could have been in a hysterical state. I'm trying to see with you, Amy. I really, really, really am. But that whole whisper situation on the phone, I don't know. We can't get past that. It would have been also, according to her testimony, less than a month before Marcus left for good. I do not care to worry you with my letters, Amy began, as you often object to my sending them, but somehow I just can't help writing to you today. And it also may be because if he's shutting her down emotionally and he's shutting her down mentally, then this is the only way that she can say or share her emotions. So I would say that on both sides, they're off the chain, but there is definitely, according to the reports, some emotional abuse happening here, right? So when he has all of these letters, she did incriminate herself, but you could kind of see why, right? If she's trying to tell him or express whatever she's trying to express to him. She continued with revelations that from a layman's point of view ought to have ended the matrimonial proceedings in Marcus's favor there and then. Somehow, she wrote, Amy, feels like giving up. But for your love, she would have given up long time ago. And remember, she had asked when she was in Panama for him to help her because she was on the verge, of giving up. So this is not the first time she said something like this. And it's not the first time that she's saying Marcus said something like this. I don't know who to believe. But you gave me hope, she says, caused her to live when she nearly fell in the estimation of the whole world. You stood by me and risked your life, she says. Your honor and all for me. Sounds a little bit like she's stroking ego, but I'll continue. She says she has not forgotten Marcus, but you said to me then, and these were your exact words. So now she try jog the memory for try evoke like emotion, Amy, I will marry you if the baby is not even mine. That would have to mean that was before the marriage. I will shield you from the disgrace of the world. There is more I could tell you about the baby, but it's useless as you have no more confidence in me. I'm confused with that statement, only because of the timeline, but we're going to continue. I admit, Amy continued, that I have been foolish and simple. If it hadn't been for you, Marcus, hold on, I'm reading it with too much, hold on. I admit that I have been foolish and simple. If it had not been for you, Marcus, she confessed, I know I would have gone down into nothingness, she says, but for you and your love, but for your manly actions, but for the protection no one else on earth could have given me. But for you have done for me, I would have been nothing, she said. In y'all sing Whitney Houston. I have nothing. Let me. And you have been all along my only hope. Yet, in the midst of her incriminations, she paused to scold Garvey. I often wondered why I did not obey you, she mused. Yo, is she apologizing and jabbing at the same time? And it was because most of the time you did not request, but ordered. And I often felt indignant, not at your request, but at the way it was given. So Amy's like, yo, the reason why I never listen to you, because I never like your attitude. I never like your tone. The way you come hard at me. Ask. What year was this? They're like, oh, our great-great-grandmothers, they didn't do what the women are doing today. It's not to give permission. But Amy was on one. Let's continue. As in her 1970 letter from Panama, Amy again plumbed the depths of maudlin melodrama. She ended in a flourish of suicidal premonitions. Fam, something had to have happened to Amy. This is not right. This is not right. This is not right. This is not right. Something happened that we don't know about. Just by studying all this study, something happened to this woman that she's not saying, because why? She says today she feels like, yes, because of losing your respect and your love, she says. And if she's writing this from, by 1970, they said after a year and a half, Amy's not hearing from him. So it's a possibility that she's feeling rejected. Yeah. I have nothing more to, she says, she has nothing more to live for. In fact, she will eventually, because she can hardly eat one meal a day, but that does not worry you again. Once upon a time you cared, but not again. You don't care, Amy said, if she live. She says she knows she won't be able to live it out. Her life is perishing daily, but she's glad to see you happy, glad to hear you laugh. Oh, you hear him laugh, Amy. She cannot laugh like you can now. There shall ever be gloom in her life. She doesn't know how to ask your forgiveness, but if by actions you do not forgive me, she says, she will end it. But she would end it all. But Marcus, Amy, you need to go pray, bro. You need some prayers right about now. She will never have your name connected with a blink case. Neither Jake's nor Phillips. Wait a minute. Jake's is the other Amy. And Phillips, they did mention who Phillips was. But why is she writing this in 1917? If she doesn't meet Cumberbatch until 1918, is it 1918? Then why is she writing, what did she do in 1917? She says she will go somewhere alone and she's very young at this time. But it's soon or late, always remember that the woman you loved was awakened to the full consciousness of her soul, and that up to the day of her, she regretted every false thought, deed, or action, that she loved you more passionately than you ever loved her, and that she gave up a Romeo and Juliet, her life, instead of giving you up. She goes on to say, she will not tell you when she dedicated her life to you, but Marcus, someday, sometime, your true friend, Amy. Yo, Amy. What was wrong, boo? What was going on in your life? I think at this point, this is beyond Marcus. Marcus represented something, but this is beyond Marcus, because what are we talking about here? I'm trying to see what book that's in. Exhibit C in Marcus Garvey versus Amy Garvey. They're going to make me have to look for paperwork. Wait a minute. If he got the letter, who put the letter in the exhibits? If he got the letter, why did she think he was no longer talking to her? I got too many questions. Let's continue. Garvey asserted that he terminated sexual relations with Amy in January of 1920. Terminated? Y'all just got married the month before. After their argument over the Cumberbatch letter, the one where him try to wring out her hand, he said they occupied separate rooms thereafter, but he was nevertheless sure that she menstruated normally in February and March. How you know, Marcus? Dang, they went and gave all the business at the court. He discovered her pregnancy of May. What in all of paternity court, Amy? May? Nah, could never be. In May of 1920, which is what probably precipitated Amy's mea culpa letter of May the 20th. The implication was that she could only have become pregnant after he terminated sexual relations, so the pregnancy could not possibly be his doing. Marcus said, I know me, I know me, I know me. Amy's letter clearly admitted a pregnancy for someone other than Garvey, but before the wedding of December 25th, 1919, since quoted Garvey as promising to marry her regardless. This If Garvey's allegations of Amy's last menstruation was correct, then whatever happened, wasn't she also drinking? Sorry, but whatever happened before the wedding was irrelevant to the question of Garvey's paternity this time around. If Amy's admission was to a pregnancy shortly before the wedding, and Garvey's assessment of her last menstruation was wrong, then it is conceivable that this new pregnancy was not really new at all, but simply the progression of the pregnancy acknowledged in the mea culpa letter. Amy tried hard to diffuse these considerations. Why, Amy? We want answers. The deponent denies most emphatically, she swore, that she has ever had any time since the date of her marriage sexual intercourse with any man except the plaintiff. That's not what we heard, Amy. We heard that old boy Johnson was like, yo, what you think about how I put it down last night? That's what we heard, Amy. Just don't lie now. Just come out with it. We can't bother. You're stress-free. You're stress-free. It says, nor, which one I didn't know. I agree, grown-up Jamaican. This is a mess. This is a hot mess. And this was all in the paper. It says, nor did Garvey stop at the mea culpa letter, for Amy had in fact had a long history of pregnancy for other men. He alleged. Dang, Chad. Hold on for me 1 second. Thank you for your patience. You have to make sure everything is in order. You don't know? So Amy was doing the most, okay? Amy, I don't know what to say, according to the accusations, right? It says, for Amy had in fact had a long history of pregnancy for other men, he alleged, not only shortly after their marriage, but also shortly after their engagement in 1915. And it appears after he first met her in 1914 as well. You ODing right now, Marcus. Marcus. If you know why this is giving, I don't know, because why would you proceed having known all of this? That part don't make any sense. If you're telling the judge in 1920, some 6 years later, that as a matter of fact, judge, when we first meet her, she did breed for one man, and after we get engaged, she breed for her next man, I never me judge, and then after that, she go and she there with compa patch, and then me feel sorry for her and bring her come, and then she breed for her next man. At which point, Marcus, at which point? At which point? Why are you making this many concessions if what you're saying is to be believed? Nah, I said no, never did it. It says here, but it's on. Hold on for me again. Hold on, everybody. Let me play a quick commercial because I see some movements in my background. Give me 2 seconds. Bam. Woo! Stepping out in style. They're going to say, where you get that from? You know, summertime, and you want kind of wear a t-shirt, but you don't really want to wear a plain t-shirt. You understand? So I'm going to go ahead and click in here, and what you will see is, bam, woo!
stepping out in style. They're going to say, where you get that from? So we have the matching head wrap with the custom t-shirt. So you essentially pick a base color and a fabric that you want to accentuate that, and then boom, you'll be stepping out in style.
All right, quick as that. We come back again. We see too much movement and go on. All right. All right, so let me see here. Where am I? Ah, Amy. This was not the first time, he says, that the defendant became a mother and I was not the father of the child. Marcus affirmed in 1914 and 1915, immediately after our engagement, she became pregnant by a man whom I did not know, and which she afterwards confessed to me. It is common knowledge that the child with which she became pregnant in 1914 was destroyed. So them did a dash her belly back then, according to Marcus, and was buried by herself and mother at their residence, 34. She mala give them residence, 36 Charles Street, Kingston, Jamaica. How old would Amy have been at that time, Marcus? I don't know. I don't know, Marcus. I don't know. As for her miscarriage in 1920, Garvey said that he, in fact, visited her frequently in the hospital, but she discharged herself without knowledge and went to Montreal. She told him that her operation was for appendicitis rather than the miscarriage and the associated medical condition that she afterwards admitted to. She told people in Montreal she was going to Lagos, Nigeria, but after some weeks, she returned to New York. Amy, not to be outdone, claimed the following year that Garvey's sister, Indiana Pearl, who acted as housekeeper at the Garvey household in Harlem, had years before acted in a similar capacity in Jamaica, while he, quote, consorted with a woman by whom he had 4 children. Yo, this is like paternity court. No, Your Honor, no, Judge. No, Judge, you don't understand, Judge. He was doing things. Let me fix my stuff. Look, I can't even fix it right. Oh my goodness. Hold on. This is too much. This is too much. In this speech to the jury at his 1923 mail fraud trial, which resulted in his imprisonment and ultimate deportation, Garvey mentioned that he had separated from Amy after a mere 6 weeks of marriage because of her crookedness. He was referring primarily to a financial transaction involving Amy and himself, which took place shortly before their marriage. This story began around early October 1919 when Amy asked Captain Joshua Cockburn for a loan of $500 to help her buy a house. Cockburn was the captain of the Yarmouth, the Black Star Line's first ship, and Marcus was somewhat embarrassed at the prospect of his fiancée having to receive a substantial loan from one of his employees. Cockburn was willing to lend the money, but it was Amy herself who informed him of Marcus's objections. Garvey, in his cross-examination of Cockburn, he acted as his own lawyer. I wonder where we got this from. I told you he's reliving his father acting as his own lawyer, hinted that there may have been more to Amy Cockburn's relationship than a mere request for a loan. So basically, according to Marcus, Amy there with everybody. Amy breed for everybody, and Amy dash her belly for everybody. Okay. The judge put an end to this line of questioning, but Cockburn nevertheless informed Garvey directly that you were jealous of it and you loaned her the money instead. So he was like, yo, I don't want nobody to loan nothing to my woman. So no, and then me I go loan her. According to Marcus, but why would Amy go to Cockburn for money anyway? According to Marcus, Amy approached him with the news that the Corn Exchange Bank, Chelsea Exchange Bank, in the divorce trial documents was selling a property at 125th West 135th Street in Harlem. The price was a good one, and the Black Star Line might profitably invest in the purchase. Amy, of course, was a Black Star Line director at the time. She volunteered to obtain the down payment from her father and suggested the Black Star Line could buy the property from her later. She seems to have needed $500 to complete the transaction. That's all they needed? Mercy. Hey. It says, Marcus' suggestion was that the Black Star Line though unable to buy the property just yet, might nevertheless issue her a check for the $500 in exchange for a lien in that amount against the building. Amy agreed, and Marcus gave her an order enabling the line's treasurer, George Tobias, to issue a check to the bank. Thereupon, Marcus left town for 2 or 3 weeks on a lecture and business trip. On his return, he said Amy brought the check back to him. She explained that the bank wanted it to made out differently. He gave her another order for the treasury to have a substitute check made out to Amy's specification. Unknown to Marcus, however, she had the check made out to cash. Thereupon, Marcus left town. Marcus went on tour again, and the next he heard of the affair was sometime in 1920. Marcus at that point tried to contact Amy, but was unable to because at the time Miss Ashwood had separated herself from the Black Star Line and from all activities of the corporation. He then requested a receipt for the $500 and the lien papers. Amy now refused, claiming the line owed her money. Under cross-examination, Marcus testified that though he married her a couple months after the transaction, he never asked her what became of the house. Nor did he know when he married her that she had obtained title in her own name. Wow, Amy. His first inkling of this, he said, was when he heard she had sold the property. He admitted also that he never reported the matter to the line's board of directors. On his appeal for commutation of sentence after 2 years of imprisonment in 1927, Garvey's lawyers again argued, as he had done in his summing up to the jury, that he separated from Amy when he became aware of her apparent misappropriation of the money. So, Amy, you can't, we don't know what to say about it right now. The real estate broker who sold Amy the property testified that Amy bought the house for $9,000. Imagine buying a house for $9,000 back in 1919, man. 125th West 135th Street. I wonder if that house is still there. Will y'all indulge me for a second? Let me tippy tappy and see if that house is still there from then. What is it? 125 West 131st Street. I haven't cross-referenced in a while. I'm itching to cross-reference here. New York, New York. New York, New York. Amy, I don't even know that there's anything that could be said right now. Wow, everybody, look at this. Let's looky. Times have changed. So sometimes they're like, yeah, I did it all by myself. But their times, yesterday's prices are not today's prices. Let me share this here. Look at 125th West 131st Street, New York, New York. It's going for now, well, this was back in 06, 1.6 mil. And Amy bought the property for $9,000. Let me see how much $9,000 was in. How much was $9,000? How much? So that we could get some context. It was $9,000 worth in 1919. Oopsie. $167,000 adjusted for inflation. Still, how much is this house now? $160,000. Then it's at 1.6 million now. Check out the inflation. So people who had these houses in their family for years, these brownstones, these walk-ups for years. I remember when they started coming and offering all of the older people millions of dollars for their home to gentrify it and do all kind of things. So that was just an interesting cross-reference there to see that she only had to put $500 down on it, and it was $9,000. But let's continue. So Amy was like, no, she puts her name on the papers. On his appeal, let's see, the real estate broker who sold Amy the property testified that Amy bought the house for $9,000 on October the 15th, 1919. She deposited $500 in cash that day towards the $1,500 down payment. In December, she paid a further $500 by check and $500 in cash, and the deal was closed. So where did she get she had the 1,000, she needed the 500. Where did she get the money from? Where did she get the money from? Amy, talk to us. Who give the rest of the money, Amy? We just want to know. So she got the 500 from Garvey. We don't know where she got the rest from. Let's continue. The final, no. Amy, he said, had previously offered a Black Star Line check, but it had been refused by the attorney for the mortgagee since it was a corporation issued check before proffered for the purchase of the non-corporation property. A day later, she returned with a Black Star Line check payable to cash, which the broker endorsed. Under cross-examination from Garvey, the broker testified that Amy had never mentioned Garvey's name. Yo, why is she chopping the line? Which what me there? And had at all times represented that she was buying the house for her personal use. The final witness in connection with this transaction was the real estate agent who bought the house from Amy. He paid $8,900 for it, of which a down payment of $1,400 went to Amy. I mean, so Amy was in here flipping houses? What's going on? Because she only put 15 down. She didn't have it that long because we in 1920. She paying down the rest of the $7,000, and then she sold it for $8,900, $100 below what she bought it for. She flipped right out of the house. No part of this amount went to the Black Star Line, as far as he knew. Amy wanted some new outfits. No part of this amount went to the Black Star Line as far as he knew. Amy never mentioned her connection with Garvey to the agent and indeed used her maiden name. She's chopping the line, people. She's chopping the line. Which part, my day? He discovered that she was Mrs. Garvey only after the contract had been signed, but before the deal was closed, when tenants informed him that they paid their rent to a Mrs. Garvey. The precise date of Amy's sale is not clear. So why wouldn't she or couldn't she just go to him? Remember, she has property. She's used to, quote, managing property because of her experience in Jamaica. That's how she moved in the first headquarters of UNIA into part of the property that she was managing for her father. Maybe she wanted to do real estate. Maybe she wanted to do business. Maybe Garvey wasn't allowing for this and she felt like she needed to finesse him. I don't know. But definitely it looks like she couldn't just go to him and say what she needed. Unraveling of the finances for Amy's house is made more difficult by the fact that both Amy and Marcus referred to it in their 1920 and 1921 affidavits, but both admitted that Marcus provided $500 towards the down payment, and neither mentioned the Black Star Line check. Amy in 1920 swore. They stay swearing. Boy, y'all got a lot of swearing. Somebody lying, because ain't this much swearing that all this is the truth. Somebody is sinning their soul. Amy in 1920 swore that Marcus gave her a present, come on now, Amy, of $500 before their marriage, and that her father provided that $1,000 towards the down payment. That's what I'm like. Where did she get the other money from? And if your father had $1,000 to give you, why he left you in Panama? Just too much. Marcus therefore had no interest in the house. In a June 1921 countersuit for separation, Amy now claimed that Marcus gave her $500 after she entered a contract for purchase with the express purpose of enabling her to complete the transaction. Bruh, what did she tell him she needed it for again? Because now I'm confused. Marcus gives a whole, I give you $500 and there's a lien on the property. Basically, Marcus is saying it's a loan. Because if he putting a lien on the building until you give me back my money, that's not no wedding present. That is not a wedding present, lady. Let's continue. Marcus therefore had no interest in the house, and in 1921 countersuit for separation, Amy now claimed that Marcus gave her $500. I already read that. This version was closer to the testimony at 1923 mail fraud trial, but it still made no mention of the Black Star Line check. Yo, Amy and Marcus have more drama than love and hip hop. Me no know how much minutes we gone. I need time to process, y'all. I need time. Marcus, for his part, swore on September the 13th. My goodness, what the people can swear. I have to make sure I said all of these affidavits is in the other book. To having a $500 interest in Amy's house. Again, no mention was made here of the Black Star Line corporate interest. According to Amy, however, Marcus did in fact accuse her of misappropriating funds, presumably around the time of her purchase of subsequent sale. How did she misappropriate it if she acquired the property? She just didn't pay him back. Because if you loaned her knowing she was going to acquire a house and you was going to put the lien on the house, I mean, she owed back the organization $500. Therefore, if she already got the $8,900, why didn't she just give him back his money? I don't know, Amy. I don't know. I can't even help you this episode. Let's continue. According to Amy, however, Marcus did in fact accuse her of misappropriating corporate funds, presumably around the time of her purchase of the subsequent sale. He told a UNIA Liberty Hall audience of 3,000 people, don't give a pastor with a relationship issue a mic. He's telling his audience. Let's see what he tells the audience now. Among them, that he knew nothing of the purchase and that she was a bonded employee who had diverted the association's funds for her private purposes. Wait a minute. Unless, y'all know what's going on. Welcome to the conversation. Unless Amy stole the money, Marcus, how did you get up and tell these 3,000 people that you know nothing about how she acquired the funds if you gave her a check? Now, if you claim that she forged a check, she stole the UNIA check and then made it out to herself, I could see with you. But bro, stop. Because you got an audience, just stop. Amy, among them, that he knew nothing of the purchase. It goes on to say, this, he says, basely false and malicious calumny. Y'all know I'm going to look up calumny, right? Calumny. Amy and her lawyers wrote, subjected her to deep humiliation and held her up to the scorn and contempt of the community. That's why I say he ain't never forgave her. Because look, he's like, yes, man, Amy, man, me forgive you, you know. And as soon as he get on stage, that dirty girl, she thief me money and me never know nothing about it. Drama. Calumny. The making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage their reputation. A nice juicy word for slander. New words every day. Okay, so is that too much? It says here, since Amy had paid the down payment in 3 separate installments of $500, it is possible that Marcus may have provided her with a $500 personal loan or gift in addition to the Black Star Line check. The strongest evidence in Marcus's favor comes from Amy's testimony. Amy needs to stop drinking before she testifies, because I promise you, she got like 102 different versions of what happened. August the 30th, 1920, that sometime before the date Marcus had already publicly announced in Liberty Hall that he would initiate an investigation into whether the UNIA money had been misspent on Amy's house. But Marcus, why would you marry her after this? Marcus, I'm starting to look at you cockeyed, because after all of this, you still married Josephine? If y'all don't remember about that, I got to sit back in my chair for this one. After all of this, he still ended up marrying Josephine, fam. Napoleon marries Josephine after Josephine, according to your thief money, you scandal Josephine in front of everybody. Yes, misrepresentation. Josephine, according to your breed for man, about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay. And you broke up with Josephine 6 weeks after on married. Something wrong with you and your decision making too, Marcus. It says here, it is not impossible that Amy may have converted Black Star Line funds to her personal use, but she, of course, was not the one on trial in 1923. She was out of the United States at the time. I wonder where she did that. And was not even a witness in the mail for a trial. The question was whether Marcus colluded with Amy to misappropriate the funds. Unhappily for Marcus, the prosecution was convinced of his joint guilt in this business, and its brief for Marcus's appeal in 1925, the prosecution put its case this way. So now Marcus is vexed after he already told the people early on that this is Amy's doing. Amy is nowhere to be found, okay, with her little 9 racks, okay? And Marcus now is on trial. And the prosecution says, despite the fact that financial difficulties in paying for its boat had already started, Garvey in October 1990 drew for Amy Ashwood at least 2 Black Star Line checks, with which she bought a house at 125th West 131st Street, New York. Miss Ashwood took title of that property in her own name, collected the rent herself, and when she sold it, pocketed the selling price. There is no mention of the Black Star Line books to the transaction, and Garvey's attempted explanation is far from reasonable one. But perhaps the best answer is found in the fact that Garvey married this lady about 2 months after the property was bought. Listen, me have to take break because this is too much. Listen, I'm gonna open the line right now. This is. Mm-mm-mm. We're gonna pause right there, everybody. Whew. Amy and Marcus. What? Something definite. I don't know if she lost children or something happens when she's in school or something going on in the family life. There's something going on with Amy that's giving not emotional stability. There's something going on that's giving, what's going on, Amy? Like, let's take counsel. So for those who have just joined us, welcome to the conversation. I'm going to drop this link real quick in the box for those who want to come up and share their thoughts. I had to pause right there because that was a lot in a little bit, right? I didn't even really get to stop and talk about the miscarriage and how that could have affected her. And if she had more than one miscarriage, how that would have affected her. The loss, because it's saying that she was suicidal and that she drank. And I know I said a few episodes ago, the way in which that they described her drinking, to me, it's giving self-soothing type behaviors, like self-medicating type behaviors. Like she's trying to deal with whatever she has going on, but she's not able to, she doesn't have the tools, right? Something, and then she's accustomed to, of the day, having access to resources. But Marcus is broke, right? By all accounts, Marcus is not able to necessarily upkeep her as her father would, or keep her in the status that she grew up with, right? And so she may be longing for or desiring, that to return. And Marcus is unable to do that. He's unable to meet her needs in this way, and I guess many other ways. And so the conversation, it's giving toxic. I don't know if they doomed themselves. Now I want to go look at what the relationship between Josephine and Napoleon was, because they may have doomed themselves by putting that type of energy on themselves early on in the relationship. I'm gonna look into that, because like somebody would say, Romeo and Juliet, and they use that in today's time to like star-crossed lovers. No, that was a very tragic story. I don't remember if you remember high school English, but you read that story all the way through. It's not the best. It does not have the best ending, right? And it didn't even last that long. It's not like they were together for the longest time, right? So I'm wondering if that energy they put or pronounced on their relationship early on, because words have creative power, because it don't sound right. It doesn't sound right from the beginning, and it doesn't sound right all the way through. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna have to digest that one for a little bit. It was too much, from the miscarriage to the house. Why did she feel that she didn't need to put his name on there? Was she trying to make sure that she had something to fall back on because of the way she was being treated? Like, what's really going on? Growing up, Jamaica said Marcus was in over his head with Amy. He was way Marcus, as we read early on, Marcus already had issues. And Marcus is accustomed to seeing his mother take all manner of abuses from his father, right? And so he was in over his head. But he was, I think he may have been toxic in another way. Yeah, Yakina, toxic. This is some original toxic relationship. But he may have been toxic in other ways, in the way in which he deals with issues. According to the letters that she wrote him, she didn't like the way he spoke to her, the way that they related, their communication was off. There was a lot of things that in this relationship we could see the people who are around them must be like, what in the world? Right? And the question is, where's Amy number two in all of this? Because you remember that little wedding we read about? Well, not so little, big wedding. Amy number two was the bridesmaid. Amy number, I don't know why they don't have any pictures. I haven't seen the pictures, but Amy number two was the bridesmaid in the 1919 December 25th wedding. That means, and when Jackie's is mentioned, or Jake's, she's around. So the fact that she shortly after this situation marries Marcus, I think she plays a role in the conversation that we're going to have to explore later. So definitely thank everybody for rocking with me and for showing interest in history. This is some important stuff, because when we say Marcus Garvey, if you look it up, Marcus Garvey, National Hero of Jamaica, it's going to come up. Why? Because Marcus Garvey is a national hero of Jamaica, right? But with it, with the hero title comes all of the realities of his life, right? And all of the things that we can learn from and really grow to kind of understand this person, and what made this person tick, and why, later on in time, Jamaica would say, you know what, we want to acknowledge him as such. For real, I haven't been live on Facebook in a while. But I'm definitely going to try to share. Right now, I'm sharing on Facebook and YouTube. So definitely thank everybody for tuning in. Let me know your comments and thoughts in the description below. This was a lot, so I'm about to go hold a meds, because what in the world? So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to play this commercial on my way out, and we'll see you again. Most I willing. Which spot this thing then now? Y'all know I'll be looking around like, which spot? Oh, yes, Island Twist. Listen, for those who've gotten Island Twist over the last few months, big up on yourself. Give thanks. Also, if you finish read the book, do me a favor. Leave a review over there on Amazon so more people can find it and more people can get the vibe. And we're going to definitely come back and see what's happening with Devin and Jackie. We have not forgotten. So I'm going to play that commercial now, and I'll see you guys. Island Twist follows Jackie Brown, a young girl who finds herself head over heels for the new island boy at school in fresh outer yard, and Jackie has the fever. But as she navigates the ups and downs of her new crush, things quickly spiral out of control when her not-so-secret admirer becomes determined to sabotage her relationship. So check out the new novel, Island Twist, over on Amazon today. Now back to the story.